Welcome to our weekly Q&A show where we answer submitted questions live on YouTube on Tuesdays at 2 p.m.
Well, happy Tuesday and welcome to our Tuesday Q&A live show. This is something we do almost every Tuesday to answer questions you have. We get questions via email, and if you do want to ask us a question, you can go on Whitewater Guidebook, which is a website we have, to the Rafting forum. And we've created a little forum here to answer questions in between when we can't. You get a quick answer here. And so we're doing our best to answer things quickly here, but also under the Gear Garage tab, just hit ask a question or add a comment. And we'll get to those when we have live shows on Tuesdays. I'm supposed to be on the river today, but we canceled our Illinois trip because the water was coming up too fast. So we don't always do live shows on Tuesdays. The next 2 Tuesdays, I'm on the river, I think. So we may not have one of these for a little bit. So your best bet is going to be to go to the forum and ask it there. That way I can try to answer it in between trips that I have, or I could also answer it, I don't know, some other time, or somebody I know could answer it. Somebody who's watching this could answer the question too. So a couple options for answering questions. And with that, let's get started. And the first question is, planning to race in the upcoming R4 event at the Upper Clackamas Whitewater Festival. I've never raced before, don't plan to be too competitive, but I'm wondering what a recommendation arrangement for a team would be. There will be 2 adults stronger and 2 teams not as strong. So be competitive. It's fun. You may not win, but I mean, I would say it's really fun to do your best, which would involve training, like lifting some weights, go out and paddle flat water together, get your timing down. Go to the Clackamas and train on the Clackamas. I'd highly encourage you to practice and train. These events are really fun, and I think good competition is healthy. So most people will run a guide in the back with a paddle who's paddling, but also doing some correction strokes, and then having one other paddle on that side, one other paddler on that side up front, and then 2 in the front 2 compartments. I'm not sure if that makes sense. So like, I wish I could draw it for you. I wonder if I can. Oh, no, I don't have a thing. Yeah, it's hard to draw it for you right now. Maybe I got a piece of paper here. Let's see what I can do. Sorry. I don't have any paper here to draw it on, but so they're all full. But basically think of like you're in the back like a river guy, got a paddle, you're forwarding, doing some prize, doing some draws, and then the people up front are basically forward paddling. 1 on the right, 2 on the left. That's what most people will do because they're used to that style for just regular raft guiding. For racing, though, you really want to be evened out. And so I would put 2 in the front left, 2 in the front right, where this is going to be the best thing, so you're evened out. And the person who is on the right side second is kind of guiding from there. But those 4 paddlers need to be practiced to pull that off. So you'll have the most power, the most control if you're in that racing situation. So hopefully that answers that question. Sorry, I don't have any diagrams to show you, but mainly I would, whatever the configuration is, like go out and practice, train, get everybody on the same page, do a run or 2 down the Upper Clackamas to like get, learn the course and practice paddling together, and yeah, have a great time. I'm super stoked on people racing on the Clackamas. Oh man, this is going to be an amazing weekend for the Clackamas. Yeah, I mean, everywhere. It's sunny almost everywhere and flows are up. So be a great time. Yeah. All right, next question. I just bought a new boat and the inner width exactly matches the width of my dry box. When the boat is fully inflated or frame, no thwarts, the dry box touches both tubes. Is there a reason to be concerned? I don't think so. I run boxes like that all the time. I mean, it's ideal. You want the boxes to be as wide as they can so you can bring as much stuff as you can without a bunch of flagus things. So I mean, maybe there's some durability issues long-term, but I run my boats that way all the time and it doesn't even faze me. So yeah, I mean, I'd run it. Do I need to buy new dry boxes slightly smaller? I don't think so. Now, somebody out there, hey, if anybody out there has more to say, please comment, say, hey, I think this is crazy, but I think you're fine. I think it's actually ideal personally. You maximize your box space. Okay, high back versus low back versus flat board / cooler versus slant board. Flat board. What's a flat board cooler? Pros and cons. One thing rarely considered, but I think it's important, if not critical, is side to side restraint thoughts. Okay. So I'm going to say only do high back if you feel like you need that. Okay. So a couple things high back. If you're running super gnarly class 5 and you want to worry about coming out of the back of the boat, I have seen some people believe you want a high back seat for that. So that you're just like, you have stability front and back. I'm not sure I agree with that, but I've heard people do that. I've seen really good boaters do that. I'm going to say only get high back seat if you're not physically fit enough to sit in a chair without a high back. I think you can only pull back when the high back stops. You actually have a high back in this chair. When you're rowing, you have to stop because that chair is there. So you can sit on the front of your chair. Maybe I should make myself bigger. I don't like being this big on the show because it's weird. So if I'm sitting kind of up like this, I'm fine. And I don't hit the high back, right? But as soon as I'm sitting up against the high back rowing, it's really hard to keep your arms straight. It encourages you to bend your elbows, right? In which I think we should be rowing with as straight as elbows as we can. It's really hard with that back there. Again, unless you're sitting on the edge rowing like this, right? You're not going to hit it. And then in the flats, you just kick back and put your feet up. But I'm not a big fan of high back chairs. So I've used them. I've had some. I just took one off of a boat because it was annoying me. So I think the main purpose of a high back chair is comfort. And I think some class 5+ boaters will say it keeps you from falling back in the boat. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Low back, I think, is pretty standard. But honestly, I don't think you need a chair. I think you only need a chair if you need a chair. Like the boat you're on has nothing to sit on, then you might need a chair. So like for me, some of the NRS frames need a chair. Cat boats kind of need a chair, but you don't need it. Some people take cat boats and sit on a flat board, and I have a cat boat like that too. So flat board / cooler. Yeah. So yeah, I sit on a cooler all the time. So on our commercial boats, I'll sit on a cooler or a dry box. So I think I would much rather sit on a cooler than a cooler with a chair on it. Like I think it's kind of ridiculous to put a chair on top of a cooler. So if you have a cooler to sit on, if you have nothing to sit on, that's where a chair is a thing to be. But if you already have a flat board or a cooler, that's awesome. Slant board. We hammered slant boards a couple weeks ago. Even last week, Aaron and I kind of talked about slant boards for a long time. Slant boards are awesome. They're so awesome. You can use your legs. If you're getting thrown around, you can get right back on your slant board really easy. Different people can get on them. There's not an adjustment thing because you just sit where you sit. And so I think for running hard rivers, I like a slant board. I think they're pretty sweet. They do take up space in the boat. There are some disadvantages. Like, it's hard to put stuff in the boat when you have a slant board, and you sit on a piece of wood. And so not everybody wants to sit on a piece of wood. I don't think it's a big deal, but some people want more padding. But slant boards are really awesome. Hey, welcome, Steve. Steve, you there? I just logged you in, Steve. So I'll keep going until you're ready to go. So
I just walked in the door.
Okay, you jumped right on quick. So I'm talking about high back versus low back versus flat, sit on the cooler versus slant boards, and basically saying only get a seat if you need a seat. Like seats are just sort of an extravagance. Sitting on a cooler is awesome. What do you think about slant boards, Steve? Are you a fan of slant boards?
Yes, I think they're practical when you have different size people rowing the same rowing frame. I think that's their greatest strength. If I was buying my own rowing frame, I think I would customize it to me and not worry about a slant board. I think the efficiency of sitting on a cooler outweighs a lot of those other things. But there are a lot of people put a seat back on top of a seat on top of their cooler, right? Like that's a thing.
Yeah. I'm not a fan at all.
To the second part of that question, I've never felt unstable on a slant board or sitting on a cooler side to side.
Me too.
But that may be because I spent a lot of time rowing with pins and clips. and I'm getting my stability from my
Your oars.
oars. If I was rowing oar locks all the time, that might become a thing. I can't speak to that.
Yep.
I think the efficiency of a cooler seat is hard to beat.
Efficiency in terms of space efficiency. Like you have a cooler anyway, I might as well sit on it so you have more room for more stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So putting a seat on top of a cooler to me is ridiculous. It makes you, it's just one more thing to own. Plus you end up sitting high, which changes all of your mechanics in a bad way. And so I'd rather
probably outweighs any of the stability.
Yeah, absolutely.
You would gain.
Yeah. Yep. And so I think side to side restraint, if you have a cooler, you can slide a foot down and just get back. Whereas if you're in a seat and you slide off your seat, getting back into your seat's a problem. A slant board and a cooler is nice because if you're thrown, you can get back to your seat really easy. You don't have to find your exact seat. You just have to get close and you keep rowing. So I would say for like, in my opinion, class 2, 3, a seat's fine. Class 3, 4 plus, I'm going to want a cooler probably. In class 5, probably a slant board. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, side to side restraint, just use pins and clips, or I don't know. I'd get it that way.
I don't think you're getting side to side. Well, I don't think you're getting that much side to side stability from the seat, but maybe
You're not, but I'm getting that maybe there is a seat that has side. Maybe there's like a new seat that has a little wings that come up to hold you in, like Captain Kirk. You know, Captain Kirk is in the seat. Yeah. And the Enterprise always gets shook around. Everybody's falling over, and Captain Kirk is still in a seat.
Very familiar with that analogy, Zach. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's sort of like you're like Captain Kirk. The people in your boat are like the people all the people on the bridge getting thrown around, but the guide is in a big captain's chair that holds them in. Side to side stability. How many comment? Side to side stability is an issue with some wide slant boards. I prefer a little narrower. I want a wider slant board. With the slant board though, you can kick your leg against a tube. Like I'm moving my legs all the time. So if I'm getting tossed, I can move my leg and brace. Where if you're sitting on a seat or a cooler, it's harder to brace against a tube. So I would say a slant board I'm the most stable in because I'm more active with my body. And I can, with my oars in my hand, just put a foot out if I'm getting really thrown from a slant board. Or sometimes Aaron talks about wrapping your legs around the slant board, which helps too. So I think I'm most stable in the slant board.
For sure. I think I would agree. If you gave me those 4 different frames and then you gave me oar locks or pins and clips, and we were going to go do something on the edge, slant board, pins and clips. That's the most stable setup I could think of. Like and I don't think it's even close. We
just rigged our Illinois trip, which was going to be, we canceled. We'll get to it in a minute because I thought it was too high. It was rising. But we thought we were going to go at 2,400 CFS. Like that's the limit of our manageable flows. And so we brought our most amazing stuff. And it was gear boats sitting on coolers and slant board frames in the back of paddle boats. That's our just most bomber setup for like what we thought would be the most difficult, to set up for the most for success for running hard rapids.
Yeah.
Cooler with a pocket pad on top. Yeah, just a cooler. Like you don't need a pocket pad. I think people are think it's normal.
I think if you were worried about side to side stability, the pocket pad would be working against that. Again, because it'd be putting you a little bit higher, which increases your angle or whatever that would be. But then it's also really slippery. Yeah. A wet pocket pad is slide around all over the place. A cooler, I think you'd have a little more butt adhesion.
Yeah, we have pocket pads the exact size of our coolers, and so I see a lot of people that bring their pocket pads and double them up, and then they're sitting really high, and it's kind of too much. So we have pocket pads the size of our coolers, which I would use on like the Rogue or the Middle Fork, but if I'm challenged, I'm just sitting right on the cooler.
Me too. And the reason you have a pocket pad on your cooler is for insulation, right? Primarily, it's not
Both. I mean,
A little bit
our
of
guides are
padding?
telling me they want it for padding because they don't like sitting on a hard cooler all day. But
Okay.
Andrew, I got a good comment here. Building a slant board for the June 10th. Man, Aaron's brought a lot of enthusiasm to these slant boards, and I think it's well deserved. And it's just hard to get a good one. I mean, because the other thing is we had slant boards for our 14-foot boats, but we brought 16-foot boats for this Illinois trip for high water, and they were a little narrow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and my 16-foot slant boards were in Idaho from last year in the Middle Fork. And so, and there's the depth of, there's like tube distance between the tubes. There's tube depth. Like they're very custom to a boat. So you kind of have to make them for your boat. You can't just go buy one unless you want them to be a little narrow or push the tubes out a bit.
Yeah.
You know that dance where like, we don't have the right slant board for the size. But for June 10th on the Middle Fork, that's for what's probably going to be 6 feet. That's the setup. Talking about a wide sitting end slant board, but tapers lower down. Oh yeah, we built ours to taper down. Yeah, so it's shaped like a coffin, right? Like you sit on the wide part and then it tapers down. So your legs can wrap around a little easier.
Yeah. So your feet can get closer together. That's, I think, where it really helps out. You can bring your feet in closer.
I sit on an NRS seat bar. Yeah, so if you have the NRS frames, you kind of need a seat because there's just a bar a lot of times. Yeah, I'm not stoked on wedging my feet under chairs because I feel like it could be an entrapment thing maybe. But I don't know your setup. Maybe it's great. High back seat. When I think about a high back seat, provided it's adjustable fore and aft, and one has an adjustable foot bar, the back of the seat can provide something to push on one's back while into the room. I don't quite understand. The back of the seat can provide, I think Aaron's here, something to push on one's back into while rowing hard. Oh, I see. So you're like, when you're rowing hard, you can push your back into the seat. I'm going to say again, like when I'm rowing hard, I want to be using my body like this. I'm moving my body a lot. I'm not sitting back in my seat and doing this because my arms are weak. I'm doing a motion where my arms are pretty straight and I'm using my body to move back and forth. So I don't like the high back seat because I can't row as hard with the high back seat.
I agree with that. Like bending my back when I'm pulling, being able to extend my back seems really helpful. Mm-hmm. Pushing, I could see you to have something maybe to push against with your body. You do lose a little bit of efficiency when you're pushing on a cooler seat. Particularly on a cooler seat. On a slant board, I think you still get enough push. That's why the slant board, again, man, that's another big pro to that slant board is it doesn't restrict your back motion and it gives you a little bit of resistance when you're pushing. Like you're pushing with your butt stuck to the slant board. But it's an impractical arrangement for most extended day trips, right? Multi-day trips.
The high back seat.
The slant board. It's just not efficient on a multi-day trip.
I mean, it's hard to pack. It's hard to have. It's like, it takes a lot of space in your boat.
It takes a lot of space.
So like where you can shove a cooler under it, but then the cooler's on the floor. Yeah, I don't think I would run unless I was going Aaron backpacker style. I don't think I'd go. Do you just come back from surfing? Aaron, you got to wipe the sunscreen off. We've had complaints about you showing up to this with sunscreen on. People think it's unprofessional, don't you?
Aaron just came back. Oh, he forgot to turn his speaker on or his microphone. Aaron came back from the clown conference. Were you in clown school, Aaron?
Where's your red nose?
Where's your red nose?
He's not very entertained. Yeah. So I'm sure Aaron's gonna have thoughts about this. Here's a question that's separate. Sawyer does used to make a really cool handle tool. I think they are making it again. I'll Google it. Sawyer tight set tool. I don't know. And so this is what they sell is this keychain thing, which is really annoying. It's not any fun. It's like, especially if your hands are cold. Yeah. But they used to make
that big wooden handle thing.
The big wooden handle thing.
That thing was cool.
They've got to still make it. I saw some new ones the other day. I have some that from back in the day, but I don't know. Maybe they stopped making it. So maybe somebody should. Maybe Anderson will start making it. All right. Oh, sweet mahogany for slant boards. And then
I think what we finally used, we used to take 2x10
2x10.
and then plane it down because 2x is too thick. You just added a lot of weight and plane it down. But you could also get stair tread, which is like a true 1.25 inch custom wood. And that seemed to, like, we started cutting that down. Worked pretty well. You can get it at the hardware store. Mahogany seems pretty cool too.
I use 2x10. I don't plane it down. I don't mind it being heavy. I mean, the slant boards we ever made from muffler pipe, and so they're heavy, but they're rarely. The weight doesn't usually matter. Usually, it's in a boat with not much other stuff. So it's in their bomber. Like, you're not going to break a 2x10. I mean, I guess you could, but you could drive over this frame and not break it.
We try not to drive over our frames. That's how we solve that problem.
Oh, do you have a sign somewhere that says "Don't drive over the frames"?
Part of our, yeah, it was in the ARTA manual.
It's preseason training.
Yeah, we
Gee.
practice.
Yeah. Hey guys, we're gonna put some frames over here. Here's some frames and see if you can not drive over them.
Yeah.
In training, do you ever accidentally drive over some, or are they just really?
As a demo, we have a video of it that we show in our online training.
Okay, got it. The keychain, yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. All right, Aaron, are you here or not? We can't hear you, Aaron.
But you look better.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, the other thing, Aaron, I know you love this topic. We're gonna move on because there's more better topics. And then we can come back and get to this. All right. So next is, do you think that Illinois is going to come up a lot this weekend? All right. So I'm going to first preface this. Somebody texted me this today. I don't like to predict Illinois flows ever. So, or Oahe, Illinois flows or Oahe. I don't like to predict them, but we're going to have this conversation because it's interesting. So let me share the screen. And first of all, I have this Whitewater Guidebook, this flow prediction thing that has all of the predictors right here. And so you can look at them. We had a trip that was supposed to launch Sunday. So let's see, 23rd. It was right here. You can see where the thing was when I had to decide if a trip went. And I met the guest Saturday night, said, hey, we're going to Illinois. Things look great. Pack your bags. I show up Sunday morning to pick them up and say, hey, it came up too much. I don't like the trend. I'll give you your money back or we can do the Rogue. And so they went to the Rogue. I didn't go because I had to figure out the logistics for the Rogue. And so I can't predict the Illinois flow. Saturday night, I thought it was going to be good. And Sunday, it went nuts on me. So, and right now, if we had gone, we'd be running Greenwall probably as we speak. But we probably would run an hour ago at like 2,500 CFS, which is manageable, but tough. I was worried it was going to be 3,000 plus. When I saw the trend, I'm here on Sunday morning. I mean, Saturday night, it was down to like 2,400. I thought I was going to drop out. It jumped up overnight. I didn't like the trend. And so I had to make a call on the trip. And it probably would have been fine today, but it's a high level to run the Greenwall at. So I can barely predict the Illinois.
So you could be running Greenwall tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow's the last day. Today would have been day 3. So and you'd be at whatever that is, 2,500, yeah. We would run at 2,500, which my cutoff is 2,400. That's my general cutoff is 24. I think that's even challenging. Not the rapid isn't that hard, but any problem is so hard to recover from. Like a flip could be gone, people could go. It's really hard to properly, responsibly run that inner gorge at high flows.
Yeah, and it's not just Greenwall, it's that whole canyon. You're trucking.
I feel like Greenwall is the hardest one though. And that's funny. I was asking Steve about this. beforehand. Aaron, what would you do it? You have 4 boats.
Yeah, I want to hear what Aaron has to say.
Two gear boats, 2 paddle boats. I've been with Aaron in this situation, so I already know what he's done. 2 gear boats, 2 paddle boats at Greenwall. How do you run them?
6-person. How many people? 6-person paddle boats or paddle combos?
2 4-person or paddle combos and 2 gear boats.
Who's
so 8
rowing?
guests total.
Who's rowing? Is it you and Steve rowing? Are you and Steve rowing the gear boats, or are you guys taking the oar paddle combos?
It's me and an AB running gear boats, and then 2 pretty good guides running oar paddle combos.
What does pretty good mean?
Not as good as you and Steve, but good. Some people I trust.
I'd probably put you in one of them.
1 gear boat, 1.
I'd probably put the 2 best people going first.
So if the oar paddle combo flips, that gear boat can get everybody.
It depends on the difference between the. It really depends on your personnel and the people in the boats and all those variables.
I did a trip with you once, Aaron, where you sent the 2 gear boats down. It was me and Tyler, while you and Marie just kicked it upstairs, waited for us to say safety for you guys. Was that because you wanted us to be your personal safety?
No, because you and Tyler are strong. You and Tyler are the equivalent of me and Marie. There was no difference there.
Okay.
So Aaron, when I've gone boating with you and you've been leading the trip and you're the one who's going to end up making those decisions, you base it on the person captaining, rowing the boat more than that's one of your primary considerations.
I think it's
or paddle combo versus
it's you're cooking. You're making a meal. It's not hard science. The variable. It depends on the day. It depends what's going on. It depends how people are feeling. I would say in the case with Zach thing, that was the obvious answer because there was less exposure. There's 2 gear boats out front, and okay, the likelihood that both of them will flip is pretty low, but yeah, I might say in general, I'd err on sending the gear boats first. If all other things being equal, I'd send the gear boats first.
That's my plan.
On that rapid, I'm not. Yeah. I think all other things being equal, I'd send the gear boats first.
But 2 and 2
downstream.
You go 2 and 2. Run 2.
Nah, I mean, if you really want safety, I'd send all 4 together.
I mean, when we did it with you,
what happens if if let's just say you flipped and Tyler went after you? What are we going to do? Not run it? Run it differently?
That's what Steve and I talked about. So, if I flip, Tyler would go downstream and get me.
Yep.
And then you wouldn't have safety in the paddle boats.
And Tyler wouldn't have safety.
Yeah. So that's where I think if we're talking 1,300, I'm pretty comfortable with any of these situations.
Yeah.
I think when we get above 2,000, this is a real concern. And Greenwall is a real concern because the post Greenwall isn't pretty. Post Little Greenwall, there's a lot of flat water. Post some of the other tricky rapids in there, there's enough flat water to recover. But Greenwall, because you might be running 2 and 2, or you run all 4 and you have 2 flips, it's continuous and there's so much more coming.
Well, and the other thing too, you have 4 people in a row. You're probably someone getting surfed in the hole up high increases, and then you're like, oh, this person's stuck here. Your boat spacing gets messy.
You could run into each other.
It gets stressful in a lot of the ways. It's hard to say. I think it depends on the line you're running. It depends on how big those eddies are at the bottom. It depends on your group. A lot of it is just like what I feel is going to be the best for this group this day, and I think you got to weigh all those factors. And
I'm 100%.
When it's like, hey, it's already late, we need to get going. Well, let's have all 4 go together because we got to go make miles.
I'm 100% with Aaron on this. I think it depends on the flow, the crew, the guests. You take the whole package in. What's the most responsible thing? Where I'm stuck is when the river is above 22,000. It just specifically Greenwall. There's not one thing that's I would say is responsible. They're all you have to make some sort of sacrifice in terms of a safety net. And so
And
it makes
that's
me
why, in general, people aren't running the river that high. I think that's one of the reasons why it's much more challenging. I mean, I think
you're on the road right now.
Yeah.
And so we called our trip. If there was like 7 boats, if I'm private boating, there's 7 boats and 4 of them are really good. I feel like I can run 4 of them, and be a safety net for the 3, and I'm more comfortable, right? And I don't have like one boat with 5 people, and commercially, there's 2 of those boats have 5 people in them. That's 5 swimmers. If it's 7 people, 7 boats, it's like if we have a flip or 2, that's just 2 people, and we have enough of a safety net. But it's tough.
What's interesting is your decision to move from the Illinois to the Rogue. 90% of that decision was based on the 100 yards of river below Greenwell.
Yeah.
Like that one spot is the crux thing that said it's a go or no go based on that one thing. And it is really frightening to be scouting Greenwell at high water and looking downstream and not seeing the current, not seeing any place for recovery as far as you can see, like around that bend, and thinking, man, if we lose a boat here
or a person,
it's bad news. Yeah.
Yep. It's definitely nerve wracking. So getting back to the question here, which is us becoming again a big. We're gonna buy a crystal ball for the show, so I can have a crystal ball come out and tell people what the future is gonna.
Marty will send you one.
Okay, sweet. This prediction has been wrong for 6 days straight. This prediction graph. I've tried to use it to make judgment calls. It has been completely wrong for 6 days straight. I don't know if it's
been taking screenshots and
I have
superimposing them.
I have
That's
superimposed them,
yeah.
But I've been taking screenshots.
Well, we discussed this a little though, Zach. It's not designed for snow runoff. It's designed for rainfall events.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe not. But I think my theory now, and I texted Steve about this when I was in the middle of canceling the trip. And Steve was like, it's probably going to peak a little bit and come down, which it did. It didn't come down into my comfort level, but I have a trip next Sunday. So I'm already thinking about this. My thinking now is even though it's going to warm up the next few days, that the past few days blew off the snow because it didn't cool down. I think we just blew out the snow. And so now
it's not that high. There's not that much snow. Even if there's
a lot of snow. There's a lot of snow, Aaron. Actually, like I've been talking, like that's all anybody talks about down there is how much snow there is. Like they're talking about not even open a black bar in May this year because they can't get in the black bar. And the road
but black bar is a higher elevation than most of the Illinois drainage. It's a lot higher there than Illinois.
I don't know.
The Illinois is really low.
I'm looking it up.
The Illinois, I mean, part of the drainage is Bear Camp Road. Like that, the Bear Camp Road drives off into the Illinois, and that crest between the Klamath, that's all pretty high elevation. There's high elevation snow there for sure. It isn't super high elevation snow, but there's a lot of snow this year compared to normal. I think we just blew the snow. That's my theory. So I think it's going to be, even though the prediction says it's going to come back up with the heat. And I think that's the prediction shows it dropping to come back up. I think that's heat related. I think that it's going to be 2,000 by Sunday. That's my best guess right now, which is when we launch our next trip. And at a minimum, let's say it's 2,400. I don't think it's 2,400 rising like it did the other day. It's 2,400 and dropping by Sunday.
You're okay.
I'm just hey, this is my best guess right now.
Who's gonna win the basketball game tonight?
Wait. Go to the Wikipedia page for the Illinois River in Oregon.
Okay.
And look at the picture that comes up. And it is an amazing picture.
Oh, this one. Oh, there's a person swimming.
Person swimming.
I think that's 3,000 right there. Oh, yeah, 3,400 it says. Yeah.
Holy cow. That's a bad.
Is there anyone in the raft? Is the raft empty and the person just swimming next to the raft?
Yeah.
That is.
I've never seen that picture before. That's a little frightening.
That's what I don't. This is exactly what I was worried about. It was on a trend to go to 3,400.
That's entering the rapid.
They flipped up above at the hole in
They didn't
entrance
flip though; they
rapid.
just fell out.
Well, yeah, sorry, they probably tube stand or something. Yeah.
I mean, once I feel like I ran this once at this level. I recognize this. We had a boat take that same line on purpose, like go right down that seam to the hole.
Yep.
Had no problem. Like I took the far left channel where there's a cut over, took the far left channel and went back to the middle, and it was fine. But he was like, I'm just going to go for it. And he hit the hole, no problem. And then he was done because below there, it's at this level, it's just flushes. Yeah, the worry is you flip in there, but he just went straight through and it was fine. I think most of the green wall problems happen before you get here. Like you don't pay attention to some of the waves, or there's that like rock wall on the right people hit because they scout this and they don't pay attention to upstream and they're nervous and make a mistake before here.
I didn't mean to distract you from your Illinois prediction process.
I know Aaron thinks I'm ridiculous.
If you go back to your prediction model, what I find is really interesting. Look at I think the dots at the bottom are the 50-year
average.
Like, wouldn't it be nice if you were making your decision? Right? Like that's what you want right there. It's never at the average though.
I mean, it's funny because I have canceled Illinois trips the day before because of too low water twice before. Like I show up to the hotel, I'm like, hey guys, I got to cancel. Like the rain, I thought the rain was coming. It was predicted to come and it didn't come. It's too low. We got to cancel. This time I was joking about that. Like, hey, it's like I've had to cancel twice before the night before, and I had to cancel morning of because the river went up. It was painful. It was pretty painful, but everybody was cool about it. They understood. They were glad we made a smart safety decision. But now I got to think about Sunday. The same thing that this person is asking. So my best guess, if I was to guess, and you guys know it's a guess, it's not even, it's 2,000 and dropping by Sunday, which means
I would agree. Unless it's raining, it's not going to come up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no rain in the forecast, and I think my theory is it blew its top. This was it blowing the easy to melt snow. Even though it's going to warm up, I think that easy to melt snow is gone, and it can't maintain these flows without rain. But I don't know.
When I went to the Hetch Hetchy meeting and they were talking about the snowpack and the Tuolumne drainage and trying to predict the runoff and whatnot, and I was asking why they don't lower the reservoirs now because they know all the snow is going to come. Like, why are they being conservative with their releases now? Aren't they worried about it getting a big influx? And they said, unless there's a warm rain, there are no big influxes. That snow can only melt so fast. Even if it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, it doesn't melt that much faster. So I don't think the snow melt is going to cause those kinds of giant peaks and run-ups that you see on the Illinois when it rains.
Just saying,
and I think it's also a really low drainage, low elevation drainage. So I just don't think it gets a lot of snow influence anyhow.
It didn't. I don't think it normally does, but the snowpack out there is so big right now. It's all when I was at Grants Pass, it's all anybody could talk about how much snow there is in the low elevations.
Right. So a couple things. I think Steve, you're right. You're not going to see a huge peak. However, there's a couple things I think with the snowpack is, and we used to talk about this here, when it stops freezing at night on the river, I mean, in the snow, and it's melting that's when it really starts to pick up. And so if it's still freezing at night and it stops freezing at night, you could see it go up higher. And the other thing is I just look into Agnes weather, and like today, the high is 77, the high on Friday is 91. And the low is 5 degrees warmer too. So it's going to be getting warmer as the week goes on.
I mean, when I was making this decision, let's go to here on Saturday, I was right here. It was the high of that day was 60, and the temperature was going to increase every day for the next 5 days, up to 80. So I'm like, it's already melting, and the temperature is only going up. And it was supposed to be 80 the last day of our trip when I checked it that day. So I saw warmer weather.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tough one.
So if the weather has been getting warmer, and we're already seeing this drop, like wouldn't that? Yeah, I think that indicates.
But it dropped back down. It sounds like. Are you talking in Agnes? What were you?
No, the temperature.
You're looking at
Oh,
the
I was checking Cave Junction, but it's pretty similar. Because a lot of the
Because
watershed
Agnes,
is
the temperature is lower on Tuesday than it was down to 77, and then it goes up to 91 on Friday. And
so I'm checking Cave Junction because I feel like the watershed is like around Cave Junction. This is what I'm
Yeah.
seeing. So like the temperature was 60s the previous days before. So it's warming up.
And the flow's
And-
dropping.
Yeah. Now it's getting to 90, right? So it could, but it's going to be back down to lower temperatures by the time we launch. So the trend here, long-term trend, is good for temperatures. So I think it blew off the easy to melt snow. That's my theory right now. But one thing I've learned about flows is on the Illinois and the Wahi, it's hard to predict.
And
yeah,
dangerous,
and I feel like even in the past,
dangerous to get wrong.
Dangerous to get wrong. On the Wahi, if you get it wrong, it's not a big deal. We ran at 17,000, up as high as 17,000 last week. It was fine. But the Illinois, it's not good to get wrong. Heidi ran Greenwall last May at 25.70. People puckered, out in puckered too. 1.5 miles downstream at Gearboat got surfed in a hole. Paddleboat ran into it. 5 swimmers. Shit happens.
Cheers too soon.
Yeah, a paddleboat ran into a gearboat. I'd be nervous. That would make me nervous for sure. I'm trying to avoid things like that.
I feel like that happens a lot there. You're like, sweet, or through Greenwall, and then you get beat down by Little Greenwall or something else down below.
A mile and a half past Greenwall.
It's about where Little Greenwall.
But
Little
is there a
Greenwall's
hole
not
that can
that
surf you in Little Greenwall? I mean, I don't even know where this is. And Little Greenwall is like half a mile past Greenwall.
Yeah.
But this is like an unknown rapid, unless she's talking about some rain hole. But I doubt that. It's probably just like
Some hole.
some hole. Which, yeah, I mean, at that level, there's just things popping up, and it's 25.70 at Kirby, and then you're adding a bunch of tributaries. So you're at more like, depends on how much rain there's been, 3,500 potentially in actual flows down there. Okay, what do you guys want to move on?
Yeah.
We got good questions. Okay, throwback. Oh, here we are. Throwback, throwdown. Aaron, did you hear the results? Steve got 7 points. I got 5. So Steve won the throwback, throwdown, 7-5.
Wait, what? I didn't hear that. What'd you say?
Steve won
Had
the
a bad
throwback,
connection.
throwdown.
Thank
Then
you.
he got
7-5.
50%, and you're saying he got 50% more points than you?
The scoring was
that's 40%.
complicated.
Wait, you got 5, he got 7.5?
He got 7. I got 5. He got 7.
Oh, you got 7. Yeah. Okay, only 40% more. He only beat you by 40%, Zach.
It was close.
It was close.
That
I
doesn't sound
did.
close at all.
I
That
did have.
sounds like
I
a
did have
beatdown.
a throw that I think hit the tire, but wasn't.
No,
counted.
I watched
so,
I watched it.
Did it hit or not, Steve?
No, it didn't hit.
Okay.
No
I gotta
controversy.
say, all that practice, Zach.
Wait, hold on. But I want to get the important part. I am now going to admit Steve is better at throwing throwbacks than me. He's better. He honestly beat me at the throwback throwdown. But that wasn't what the test was. Who's a better throwback thrower? The test is which throwback is better. And Steve brought his NRS throwback, had access to NRS throwbacks. Steve, which throwback did you use?
This is a long answer. I'm still gonna hold to that. The best throw bag is an individual's choice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Then the one you can practice with and the one that you can get the best with is the one for you. It could be an NRS bag. It could be, what was the one I used?
You used
Hungary. I used the Hungarian.
the
throw bag.
Whitewater, the WWTC. Remember this one, Steve? The one you picked?
WWTC.
Yep. The
What's
one
that stand for?
Whitewater Training Center. It's a weird name.
And that's, you said they were made in Hungary, I think.
Yeah, they're made in Hungary.
So for the contest, that was the best throw bag. However, if I was going to develop a contest to really test someone's throw bagging skills, I wouldn't set up the course or the whatever you want to call it, the game that you set up. Like we were trying to throw a throw bag through a hoop that was a foot off the ground.
It was on the ground, and it was a motorcycle tire.
We were trying to throw a throw bag through a motorcycle tire that was on the ground, which isn't. I've never been in a situation where that was the kind of throw I needed to make with a throw bag.
We're trying to simulate a person in the water. A person in the water is at ground level and about that big.
And again, I wouldn't try and hit them with the bag. I would try and hit them with the rope.
Which is how it was scored. It was scored. You got points for hitting it. I mean, neither of us went through the hoop. We both hit the thing.
But I don't think going through the hoop is a style of throwing a throw bag that's very useful.
Okay.
So I would, if I was going to suggest someone build a training tool, what I envisioned when I was driving home today was thinking, like a 6-pronged menorah or field goal posts with the, 2 feet, 2 feet, 2 feet, and different scoring on different, whether you got it in the middle or further on, because I think a throw that goes beyond the swimmer or beyond the target, but the rope comes down where you want it, is just as good as a throw where the bag comes down where you want it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna make the other side of this case. I'm not sure what the answer is, so I'm gonna make their side. When you throw somebody a rope and the line falls on them, they don't know they got hit by the line. If you tag them with the bag, it's like, there's a rope here. So there's like, you may see this like rope, and they're just like, okay, I'm waiting for a rope. When it just comes down on them, they're like, where is it? Well, if there's like bam in their head, like, there's the rope. I can grab it. So I think that's why, and I'm gonna say, because it's an IRF standard, like this is IRF, they're not perfect, to tag them with the bag. You're going to tag them with the bag. Like if you get the bag past them, you still pass, but it's their standard to like try to hit them with the bag. And I think it's because it's like, hey, I'm the bag, there it is. I'm not sure if I agree or disagree with that. It's just like something I'm thinking about.
Then if that's the standard, then your motorcycle tire is appropriate. I would question if that's really the best standard. And they're also rescuing a swimmer in the water, which isn't the only way you would use a throw bag. And this is where I would question that the value of hitting the swimmer with the bag compensates for the potential to come up short. Short is 0. Short is no good at all. Beyond, if I'm a foot beyond, 2 feet beyond, 10 feet beyond, those are all successes. If I'm a foot short, 2 feet short, 10 feet short, that's a complete failure.
So you're saying, so I hear you there. You're saying you set the contest up differently. Let's get back to.
Can I chime in here and agree with Steve? But I would add, Steve, that the goalpost idea, I like it. This guy who did the one at our IRF is he had a kayak that he was dragging along in front of us, and you had to hit the moving kayak. So I would say do the goalpost, and maybe you said this and I missed it, but it should be moving. It shouldn't just be stationary. You should be hitting a moving target, because in real life, so you have someone dragging it. Your goalpost.
Yeah. Okay. Great. You want to add that element to it?
Yeah. No, I think yours is great. And I'm saying, if you really,
but we're not. I mean, if you want, but we're not going to build a train track for a kayak out there. Like we want to have we want to encourage practice.
You just have someone run it. You have someone run it.
Not every time. Not every time. Okay, guys, who's going to run it this time? Like when we were throwing 50 bags a day. Hey, who's running across this time and back and forth?
No, but I'm saying if you want the test or the competition. That's what the practice. Yeah. I agree. The practice just having those is great. But if you really wanted to have an accurate
I told Steve, I was like, Steve, we can do any. You just tell me the competition you want, we'll do it. But the competition isn't me versus Steve. Steve is proven to be the superior throwback person. The question is this the worst bag ever made? Or is it potentially adequate?
I would say it's potentially adequate.
The best bag ever made?
It's not the best bag ever made.
Oh, I
So
disagree.
because I want to make the point that Steve, when he went to do the competition, he did not take. We had to throw 4 different bags. He didn't choose this for one of them.
I did choose it for the last one because you
Okay.
gave me bonus points.
And then
if I could
so
get within 5 feet.
we got to the very hold on. This is the part at the end. At the end, at the 60-foot length, I go, Steve, if you use his bag wasn't the same, it was similar, but it wasn't the exact one. If you get within 5 feet of the target with this bag, I will give you double points.
Here's some things.
That's how confident I was that this thing sucks.
Here's some things I learned in the throw bag throwdown that I think were revelatory to me.
Okay.
The difference between 50 feet and 60 feet was remarkable. Like at 60 feet, I was just hoping and hurting, trying to get it to go 60 feet. If the target was 60 feet away, I wasn't like it was going to be 5 or 10 throws before I thought I might be able to hit it. At 50 feet, I felt really confident. I was surprised that there was that much of a difference. I don't think throwing a throw bag 70 feet is something that you should just think is going to happen. I think that'd be a really, really remarkable throw. You might have to have more elevation from where you're throwing it from. I don't know, but I was surprised by that. For this particular challenge, the narrower, longer tubular bag, like the WWTC bag, the line came out of it better and it stayed on a line better, but I was going for a low angle throw, trying to hit it into that tire. If there had been goalposts, I think my score would have been the same with an NRS bag as a WWTC bag.
No, no way. Not even possible.
It sounds like we need a rematch here. Next time Steve's up there, you're going to have to do it again.
Don't forget, Zach. The other thing was, Zach and I, it was basically an even contest. We both had good throws. We both had bad throws. My good throws were slightly better than Zach's good throws. Our bad throws your bad throw was better than mine. Zach could have won it on the last throw. Like he was within points range to do it. And he hit the tree, and I don't know what would have happened if he hadn't hit the tree. That was a whole nother story. Throwing overhand and throwing underhand are different techniques. Throwing the NRS bag overhand is a lot different than throwing. What were you using?
I use different bags. I actually use this. I use these for my 30 and 40 and switch to these to 50 and 60. The Kokotat Huck for the longer throws. This is the 20 meter this is 20 meters. This one can't make 60. It drops right in front of it. So you have to have a 70-foot bag to even have a chance at the 60.
And I thought about that.
You say you need a 70-foot bag to have a chance at a 60-foot throw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have to pull out some in your hand.
Yeah.
And then the knot actually takes up some too.
Even without the knot, you have to have some in your hand. Yeah. And then what good is it to be 60 feet away with a 60-foot rope and you're both hanging onto the end of it? You can't do anything with it. So you have to have some working material at both ends. And if you can throw a throw bag 50 feet, I think a 70-foot throw bag is probably a realistic thing. Don't expect to throw it 70 feet, but if you throw it 50 feet and now you have 10 feet for both people to work with. And I'm thinking I'm throwing to a wrapped boat or a stuck person, a static situation, not a swimmer who could hold on to the very end of the rope. So I think that was interesting to me to see those distances actually laid out. And going into it, I thought I could throw a throw bag 60 feet pretty accurately, and that's a heave at 60 feet.
The one thing about, I think you said about having the distance laid out is we're starting to learn what our distances are. Like now when I walk up to a throw bag, I go, oh, I know it, that's 50, and it might take me a couple. Or I need that bag. I can't do it. Like I can now look at a distance from having thrown so many on the course and be like, oh, that's an easy throw, or that one's pretty rough. Because if you ask me at 30 feet, how far away 30 feet was before I did this, I don't even know. So just being able to visualize distances has been a helpful learning thing.
I have a question for you, Zach. on this whole thing. Would you have been better off spending all this time practicing climbing back into your raft and flipping rafts?
I'm fine at that right now. Like, it's not, for me, it's not a thing. The thing is, we can do this in our front yard. Like, I can do
That's
this.
the difference.
I mean,
You can do push-ups in your front yard and pull-ups in your front yard too.
are you saying, is it better if I lift weights or actually jump in a boat?
I'm saying no.
Me
I'm
personally,
saying
or the average
I'm
person?
saying what I'm saying is that it seems that for most people, being able to self-rescue in the raft is probably a place to spend more of their time than on knowing the difference between which bag I can throw 60 feet, 50 feet, 40 feet, which bag, I have my my quiver of bags, and would depend on, so I'm going to use this bag in this situation, this bag, this situation, this bag, this situation. There's not that often.
I mean, I think I'm going to try to make it fun. So we have like a fun game we play. And so we always say with throwbacks, make sure you practice, and nobody ever practices. So this is my way to like create something that's a fun environment to practice and get better at it. And also to learn which bags people like and don't like. Steve was right at the beginning. The right bag is different for everybody. Like, some people like different things. Like, I love throwing this bag at 60 feet, but the rope is too thin to do most things with. So I don't use this bag very often. But after practicing with a lot of bags, I know this is my favorite bag. I feel like I throw it better, and it has a good rope I like handling. And so the course helps people choose which bags they like, and then also just practice. Of course, people should practice getting in the boat more and being, I mean, we be more physically fit, be stronger, of course. But that's like on Friday night at 5:00. Hey, let's go do 20 push-ups out front so we can get in our boat better. That's not realistic.
Aaron, you're right. You should spend more time practicing getting in your boat.
Before each throw, do 5 push-ups.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good or pull-ups.
People won't come. I'm already kind of pulling teeth sometimes to, hey, let's go practice our throw bags. Everybody's like, oh, Zach's being a nerd again. Like, oh, by the way, you're gonna do push-ups too. They're just gonna go home.
Steve, did you practice at all before the competition?
No, I practiced when I got there.
So does the practice really matter? Steve beat you. You didn't even practice. You've been practicing, Zach. You were at the last month. You've been talking about how much better you're going to be because you've been practicing so much. Does practicing really, is it improved your throwing that much?
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
I've practiced for a lot in my lifetime. It was the short-term practice wouldn't have helped me.
Steve was out there focused ahead of time. He was out there in the lawn practicing, like thinking. He's like, Steve's just being Steve. He's like, okay, he's taking this seriously.
Here, to answer the question, I did not buy a new throw bag. For me, the NRS bag is good enough. If I was going to buy a new throw bag, I would buy the WWTC one. But I would want a better way to store it. Like, I like the idea of clipping my throw bag where I can see it, where I can get to it really easy. And the WWTC one.
That's where this one comes in. That's why, like, this is a waist belt or a thwart bag. It's not like clipping your boat. That's why I'm like, this one I'm such a fan of, the River Station, because it has a similar shape, but it has the top clip.
That's the one I would buy then.
And I think you probably use this one I told you about. I think this, for us rowing boats, this is way better than this. Look at it. I mean, just for size, 60 feet of rope, which most people can't even throw 60 anyway, versus 75 feet. This is more of a rescue line. This is more of a throwback. That's my take.
Okay.
And are you using a rescue line more often or a throw bag more often?
Throw bag. I mean, I use a throw bag a lot, but not to rescue swimmers or rescue rafts. I'm lowering boats down cliffs. I'm throwing it to a boat.
Once again, where a rescue line will be better. Like the extra length would be helpful. Though if you're lowering a boat down, that extra footage would help.
It might, but this has been great. But if I need to throw it, it's a nice, manageable thing to throw, and I can.
Do they make a 70-foot version of that?
Yeah,
bag.
But it's not as thin. It's a little wider. They make a version that's kind of like this, but not as floppy. I'm going to say one more thing before because Aaron's like, you don't need to practice, you don't need to throw bags. I've been reading accident reports lately. There are a surprising number of accident reports where people missed a throwback throw and then somebody died. So, like, it's not like you never use throw bags to save people. If you start reading them, you're like, oh, several throw bags were thrown, but they didn't make it. And so I think being able to throw a throw bag is going to be useful here and there. I think
the question is, even with practice, would it have made a difference? So would they have been able to hit them with the throw bag, or
probably,
were they at 65 feet away?
It's like anything. You get better when you practice. Aaron, Steve is better than me, but I'm better than I was when I started. Imagine if I hadn't practiced, how he would have beat me like 7-2.
Let me add some more thoughts to the throwback controversy, because I am thinking about it differently now. Because Aaron, when I was up in Hood River, Zach did a little 2-day seminar for rowing school instructors. I had to do a sample lesson on a personal rescue kit, which isn't something I'm familiar with at all. I've always relied on commercial outfitters to have a haul line and pulleys and carabiners and all that kind of stuff. I never had to set one up for myself. So I started playing around with it a little bit, thinking about it. It adds a new twist to the throw bag question, because maybe you don't want to carry 2 separate lines, and maybe you want to have a throw bag that's going to be a haul line, right? That's a double duty thing. Correct? Zach?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to say 75 feet is not enough for most things as a haul line. Like,
okay.
So
Ever.
like, there's some things to help with, but it's not going to be enough for a gearboat to blossom.
Okay. Well, what I was thinking about is the rope diameter becomes an issue. And you had talked about how the smaller rope diameter is harder to pull on. Is that its only disadvantage?
I mean, they smaller rope diameter stretches a little more, and isn't as strong if you're worried about like breaking a rope in a hauling system.
But don't they make like that really strong, thin diameter dyno, whatever it's out?
Yeah, that's what this stuff is. But yeah, this stuff is. I wouldn't pull a Raft with this. I would have a better one. I'm on the thing that, like, if I'm private boating, I have a haul line. Okay. I'm not going to depend on this. I'm not going to depend on this for the haul line, unless I'm just doing like a day trip with light boats, and I'll like, this will do. Like, this will be fine. But anything else than that, I'm going to want a haul line.
Can the disadvantage of the smaller diameter throw bag rope, can you compensate for that by using the Prusik loop?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you use that hollow block Prusik loop
to pull on the rope.
But
the rope is still stretchier, so you're going to pull so much stretch out before you actually apply the force. So I think the stretchiness of the thinner diameter lines is a problem.
Okay.
So we're saying that NRS bag is better, correct? Is that what the conclusion
for a haul? If I'm for a haul line bag, yeah, it's better. If I'm going to use that rope to haul on boats, if I want one bag that can both be a throw bag and potentially be a haul line, I think the bag in the NRS rope is good. The bag still sucks, but you can buy this rope. You don't have to buy that. You can buy, this is Sterling Ultraline. You can buy this at any length and just put it in any bag. You don't have to have
what throw bag is better than it with the rope that has that rope?
No other bag has that rope. It doesn't mean that it's the only one. It's the best and the worst at once. It's the only bag that has that rope.
So if you bought
that's the best rope.
It's
you
really
buy the bag and the rope. You can buy the bag, the rope separately and make your own.
I have 150 feet of this rope that I keep as a haul line that I can just throw in a bag. I don't need that stored in this bag. So you can just buy the rope. You don't have to buy the throw bag.
But then you can't use it as a throw bag if you don't have it in a throw bag.
Yeah, because Aaron, I do not use this as a throw bag. This thing is awful.
If you're stuck on a rock and it's not a
awful
big
for
river,
the way Zach throws.
I throw that boat I throw that thing out to you. You tie it off. I can just wail on it right away. We're good to go. We don't have to like tie another rope to that rope. Go get this dry bag out of my boat. De-rig this, do that. Tie it to the other boat. I tie it to the other rope. Send it across. Now he's got to tie that one on. Now it's just so much faster. There's the rope. Okay, let's go. We can start pulling on it right away. It's so much more efficient.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say, I value good throw bagsmanship.
Yeah,
I value
more
somebody
over the quality of the rope, and I'll take rope quality any day over the bag. And I don't think the bag's that bad. I think the bag works fine.
It's adequate. It's not adequate. It's awful. It's the worst bag ever made. So
No way. No way.
What's
No,
worse?
I don't-
Name one that's worse.
You had one that had really thin line in it that I was going to throw at the 60-foot mark, and you told me not to, and I'm glad you did.
I think you had this one. Didn't you have this one that was 20 meters? I'm like, you're not going to make it 60 feet.
No, I had the yellow one with the really thin rope in it, and it had 70 or 80 feet in it.
Your cool WWXT whatever throw bag. How do you clip that into your raft? That's not better.
That's why I've been saying this, Aaron. This is a waste.
It's not better. That bag is worse. You can't even clip it into your raft.
It depends, Aaron.
So the NRS one is better than your WW whatever one.
Aaron, I think it depends on how you. There's different ways of doing things. If you're gonna wear a waist belt, you can't wear the NRS one as a waist belt, and so it's inferior for that. The same way you can't
can wear the other NRS one with a waist belt, but that's besides the point.
But that one sucks.
What are you talking about? You said that you even said that throws really, really well.
It does throw well, but if there's so many better things you can get than that. That one's not a haul line either. So
you get the pro version, and it's pretty strong.
Okay, let me close this up because we're just going in circles. This
Really?
to me throws really well, and it's a good haul line. So that's why I like this one. It's not as good of a haul line as the NRS bag, but it's pretty close. And so it throws great, and it's a haul line. If I'm gonna wear a waist belt, which I'm doing more and more, this is the bag I like. And Steve,
I feel like that bag's really bulky though.
Well, they come in different sizes. You can get a shorter, you can get a less bulky one, the smaller. So there's choices. But the 20 meter is a nice length. I like throwing it. For kayaking, I've been carrying this because this is my favorite throwing bag. This one just zings out. It's awesome. So I'm just gonna tell you what I saw in the competition. I saw great throw bagsmanship coming from Steve, but I also didn't see him ever grabbing this bag in the competition. And Steve is saying it's based on
the competition,
the course, what the course was. So
yes.
Aaron, when you come for the competition, I want to make clear you get to use your bag. You can't get there and be like,
well, you make the competition arbitrary to set it up
Aaron,
better for the bag you have.
Okay, what I'm gonna say is you set the competition up then. You have to set the competition up. You decide what the competition is. You can. Okay,
this is gonna be the competition. You're gonna have to throw a bag to someone on a raft who's gonna tie it off, and then you're gonna use mechanical advantage to pull the raft.
This one will do great. Okay, we'll do it. Set it up. You make the competition. I will come to your competition and I will crush you. Not because I'm better than you at throwing throw bags, because this is a much better throw bag than this. If you had used this for the competition, you would have lost.
No, you're wrong. I don't think that's
then why didn't you? I said,
I think that's why, Zach, but be careful. When you say this is a better throw bag than this one, you're really saying this is a better bag to throw than this one. And what Aaron is saying is when he's judging a throw bag, he's taking into a lot of different things, like how it attaches to the boat, how easy it is to get to, what it can be used for once you've used it. The throw bag throwdown was designed to test one feature of a throw bag, which was its throwability, not necessarily its deployability or its usability once it was done.
It is, yeah.
And
but
Aaron's going to come up with a challenge that combines more elements.
A carabiner in it. In terms of attachability, you're ready to clip it in. Like you throw me this bag, I have this dangly thing. I have to find a carabiner, attach it on. So in terms of I'm going to say this one, in terms of attaching to a raft.
Okay, we're going to start off with it clipped into your raft. You're going to unclip it from your raft, and then you're going to throw it.
Open it.
And you're going to tell me you've got that thing's clipped safely to your raft. Oh, you're going to switch bags. So how many bags are you bringing with you, Zach?
Aaron, if you create it in a way I have to clip a bag in, I'm going to use the bag I use when I clip a bag in. If I'm allowed to wear a waist belt, I'm going to wear a waist belt, right? I can't. This one isn't made to clip in a boat. If I have to clip one in a boat, I'll use this one to clip in a boat.
I'm going to say this. I will
Set
beat you
set
with the
up your-
waist bag, and I'll beat you with the clip-in bag. I will bring my waist bag, and I'll beat you waist bag to waist bag.
Okay.
And I'll beat you clipped-in bag to clipped-in bag.
Which waist bag are you bringing?
The NRS Pro.
NRS Pro waist bag. The one that I got. That one only has 50 feet of rope in it.
Does it? Yeah. Well, you need. How much? How often are you throwing more than 50 feet?
Okay, yeah.
How many feet does yours have?
60 meters.
Yes. 60 meters?
I'm sorry, 20 meters, so 60 feet. So anyway, so to clean this up,
I want to bring up one other point.
Okay.
When I took a swiftwater rescue class, I was taught to not hit the swimmer with the bag.
It doesn't mean it's correct.
I know, but that's what I was taught.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that the IRF technique is to hit the swimmer with the bag. Hit them.
That's what when Mark came, that's because I took my first throwback test, I laid it right out in front of the swimmer and passed them right out so they could see it, grab it. I'm so proud of myself. He was like, nope, you failed. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you got to hit them with the rope, and ideally hit them with the bag. And so I think that's when you took your class, that's what the thinking was from that instructor.
Okay.
Mark is saying something different. I'm not saying one way is right or the other. I have lately been practicing throwing to swimmers. I'm actually like when I throw the bag at a swimmer, it's like throwing a football to somebody. I'm very accurate.
Right.
I hit them with it a lot. If I try to throw past them, if like you see a moving thing and you're starting to throw past them, I find it's a little harder to track them and throw it accurately. So like now I'm starting to throw it. Like underhand, I'm with you, but overhand, I can just watch them and just tag them. And so I'm finding for me, I'm really good at throwing just the bag at them tag. That's what I found lately. But I'm not sure one way is right or the other. I think it depends.
I just worry about coming up short is way worse than going long. Like not even right. Like it's pass fail.
So like when I took my test, that's why I laid it out in front of the swimmer. And I was like, oh, he'll like, it's right in front. They can see it. They'll grab it. It's better than behind them. And he was like, nope, you hit them. I'm like, oh, that's the standard. Got it.
Okay.
Like, and so I'm with you though. Like if I'm in the real world, like last two throwbacks I've thrown have been to people on boats, getting them a rope. And so I'm going to throw it upstream of them a little bit, knowing that it'll come down to them.
Sure.
Versus if I miss and throw downstream, it's just gone.
Yep.
So my habit is to throw it upstream a little bit and then just grab it.
And long.
That doesn't always work.
It doesn't always work, but if I'm going to
just hit. Why do you try to miss them? Just hit them straight.
Aaron,
I don't.
I'm not. Hold on. I'm not trying to miss them, but
you're like I'm going to throw it upstream of them. You're trying to miss them.
Okay, hold on. I didn't say
in case I make a mistake.
Hold on.
So you're already adding in air, and then you have more air. So then you're going to miss.
I didn't say I plan to throw upstream of them. I said I did throw upstream of them. Like I'm throwing at them, knowing I have to either hit them or a little bit upstream. If I were to make a mistake, it has to be upstream.
So you're aiming upstream of them.
I'm aiming
at them.
Aiming
straight over the top.
I am, but I'm thinking about like and this might be messing me up. Hey, if I go downstream, I'm not perfect when I throw. Like I don't always hit my target. I mean, you may always hit your target. We're going to find out. But like I know that I'm going to miss my target sometimes.
If you're aiming to hit them or upstream, Zach, you're aiming upstream of them. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense.
I am a little bit, but I'm not. But like my goal is to like air a little bit upstream. So like if I'm going for like this much range, I'm not going to point it right at them. I'm going to point it this way a little bit. So if that's my like, instead of if I go right at them, there's a 50% chance I go past them.
A foot upstream is way better than a foot off downstream.
And that's what I mean. It wasn't like 5 feet. It was like
too long is way better than a foot too short.
So I'm with you on.
No, wait, what? A foot upstream. If you aim for their head right here, this is a foot upstream of them. This is a foot downstream. You want it within arm's reach, above them or below.
I'll give you anything within arm's reach then.
So you should be aiming right here, right across here, pretty much, right across the shoulders. So the arm's reach, you got 3 feet that way, you got 3 feet the other way. Right across the shoulders.
Okay, and if you're going to be a foot outside of that 3 feet, where do you want to be? A foot downstream or a foot upstream?
No, I don't want to be either side. That's the whole point. I want to be right there.
And if you made a mistake, which would you rather do?
Probably a foot downstream because then they could sit with their feet and they could pull it towards themselves.
You're just being argumentative now.
No,
Aaron,
being
first of all, you're not that
Aaron,
you're
being
accurate.
difficult.
You're insane. You're not that accurate.
All right,
Like, so you're saying you hit,
Aaron,
Aaron, you're saying you hit everybody center chest every time, no problem. With this bag, you're saying with this bag, the inferior bag.
I'm between here. I'm within here to here almost every time. Yes, it's not that hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
When are you going to be in Hood River?
In a couple weeks.
I'm sending you a schematic for how to make goalposts, because I think you should get rid of your, or next to the motorcycle tire, you should set up the menorah. And I want to see Aaron hit that 3 foot window 80% of the time.
I think, Aaron, maybe you are God's gift to throwbagging, and you don't even, you don't need to practice. Sounds like practice doesn't matter, so you need to practice. I'm gonna say the people that we're teaching and the people that watch the show should practice. And I'm gonna say the people who we teach and the people who watch the show should choose the throwbag that fits their needs. And there's a lot of information on what fits their needs. If a lot of people have a hard time throwing throwbags, I taught a course a couple years ago with somebody who was offended that throwbagging was a part of the course because it's a male-centric thing, because we're taught to throw as kids, like throw balls, right? So my case is like, then choose a bag that's easier to throw. So like Aaron, you and Steve especially, you guys might have amazing God-given talents to where you can throw these terrible throwbags, but the average person may want, or like somebody who has a hard time throwing bags may want a superior bag to help them make a throw. I've seen a lot of people throw throw bags the past month, and there's been a lot of really bad throws. Like people, what is this, Aaron? People are really bad at throwing throw bags out there.
Hold on, I'm gonna share something here in just a quick second, because you're talking about just miss some just upstream. Hold on, I got to bring it up. There we go. We're going to watch this video from our guide school. Here we go. This is what Zach wants. This is where you want to aim, according to Zach.
This is 30 feet. Aaron, that's 30 feet, by the way. That's child's play.
Well, no, but it's more. Why is it not playing? Oh, there we go. Hold on. Here we go. It's not about that. It's, you want to hit him upstream. Hit him upstream. Here we go. All right, hit him upstream. Up. Look, she's traveling faster than the line. Oh, she's going to up.
Yeah, people are missing bags. Is this a good example or a bad example? No,
Zach, you said to miss it upstream of the bag.
No. If it's a swimmer, I want to be downstream of them.
I agree.
If it's a raft stuck.
I'm sorry.
You didn't listen.
I thought you were like on the swimmers, throw it upstream of them. I'm like,
no. If it's the last two times,
that's what I was like, what are you talking about?
When a raft is stuck with a person on it, if I'm gonna err, I'm gonna err a little bit upstream so the rope floats.
Just throw it over the shoulder. You can have them diving down in the river and trying to get the bag and then almost falling, and just throw it to them.
Okay, let me add something of importance.
When you play catch with a baseball, do you throw it on one side then because that side is their arm that they catch the ball with? You're like, well, I'm getting my arm this side. Or do you throw it straight to their chest?
No. You throw to the mitt. Always throw to the mitt, Aaron.
Where's the mitts in front?
Aaron, when you're playing water polo, do you throw to their head or do you throw to their hand that they're going to?
No, hold on. There's a difference. With the mitt, with
baseball, you're going down a bad road, Aaron.
Don't you?
I want to go back to your video. Go back to your video. I want to point out something that's really, really important in this whole thing that is actually valuable to this discussion.
And Raf Ski Bum, put your question in the thing. Like type it in here. We'll answer it.
Okay.
I got to do a screen share again. Hold on there.
Where your student is throwing that throw bag from, I would not have been able to throw the way I threw in the throw bag throwdown.
No. Yeah. And
Danny,
I kind of did that on purpose because everyone
cannot throw underhand. So it's really valuable to learn to throw overhand And there could be places where like that person can't, it looked like it to me like they're standing thigh deep in the water. Is that what that is?
Yeah, exactly. And then if you look, let's see if we can go. It's just like it's an eddy that goes way back there. So it's not like this is your best spot to sit to do a throwback.
Yeah, and I would say that that's a really important reason to learn the overhand throw and to get good at it. It's because you are going to be throwing from a place where you can't do an underhand throw. So, Zach, I think I need to work on my overhand throw to catch up with you. And I would say being able to throw overhand, like now that I think about it and saw that video, like really important.
I'm all overhand now. Like I don't throw underhand. I can't throw underhand if I need to. If I have the rest bag, I'll probably throw it underhand because I can't throw it overhand. But like I've been practicing overhand, and so it's my main technique right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on that after I do some pull-ups and push-ups. Maybe we could move on. Maybe there's another question.
There's no more questions. We're done. I put this one last because I knew it was gonna suck up a lot of time. Is Steve gonna come and beat us both at the challenge? Steve won't be there, I don't think. I think here's what I think. I think you guys are both really good at throwing throwbacks. You're probably, Steve, you're provably better than me. Aaron, it sounds like you hit people dead chest all the time, so you're gonna crush at the throwback competition, whatever it is, whatever you make up.
I didn't say dead chest. I said hit it like I do, Steve, or you throw it straight past them.
You're gonna hit people every time, no problem. You're just gonna go right to them.
Well, when we were working at Chile, you had to do this. We had to do this 4-inch zeta, and you had to throw the throw bag across this channel. That's pretty far channel, and you had to hit them between one arm and the other. So you'd aim straight across them, and you didn't. It's a bunch of bros. You don't want to mess up because everyone just give you a hard time. So you had to look. You had to get good at it.
The pressure is really high. It's not like a person swimming into a sieve. It's like bros watching you, and the pressure is really high.
Well, you're not thinking about it no one's swimming to a sieve. Let's be honest. You're not rescuing people from throwbacks swimming to sieves. That never happens.
I think the goalpost idea is going to have Louis' arms widths and then Zach's arms widths, and those are the two scoring. Like if you're in Zach's arms width, it's not as good as being in. Look at you got to hit Louis. Louis got to be able to grab it. That's a tougher.
Yeah, what happens if you're throwing to a child? You got to have a tighter window. That's true. If you got kids, you got to be better.
For the record, our current course is Louis' arms width. Like hitting in the motorcycle tire is basically hitting Louis' arms width.
No, I think
it's not that big.
Motorcycle tire is wider than Louis' arms. Arm span, wingspan.
No, it's not that big. It's like what Aaron's saying. He can hit the person. It's a person. It's the width of a person, basically a little wider maybe. It's like getting to the person. That's what we're testing.
Okay, let's move on.
We're done. Are any fellas seeing our compliments? Do we have compliments? I'm not seeing them. We're not looking through the comments. We're too busy. Arguing. That's it. I think we had one question for Raft Ski Bum. I'm gonna tell you really quick, Raft Ski Bum. If you get it in the comments right now, we can answer it right now. Otherwise, we're about to get off this show. I'm gonna go paddle this afternoon, so I got to get out of here. But I'm gonna say there's a rafting forum here. Hit view forums. There's a middle fork of the salmon questions. Ask your question here. You have to log in, but if you ask questions here, this is where we answer questions in between live shows. So I'd encourage you guys to ask your Middle Fork, Illinois questions there, which they're coming. So
can you post a clip of a video in the response there for people to watch of like a discussion?
Can I?
Yeah, like in the forum, could you just post a video clip in it and so they could just watch the video response right in there? Is that possible to do that?
Yeah. I mean, you can put links.
But you can just put a link to it. Yeah. Okay.
You can put, I'm pretty sure it'll show. Like I think I experimented with this. There's a few questions here. I don't know. Maybe not. I think I tried to post a video. I don't know. We'll find out. But like, I'm not going to answer it in a video. But I can say, hey, here's a video that has the answer to that question, or here's a video of the Middle Fork or whatever. Tire inside a large circle painted on the ground and which bank you're throwing from, all different points depending on where you land, 3 feet either side, tire max points. Yeah. I'll let Aaron come up with the competition. It's not, again, It wasn't me versus Steve. It was modern throw bags versus antiquated throw bags. Aaron, it's not me against you. It's you. You need to come with your bag, make the course, and we'll dance. All right.
All right.
We'll see. It's not me against you. It's modern throw bags versus ancient technology.
Aaron, when are you going to be there?
Like 3 weeks.
Mid late May for the IRF course.
Zach, when is it?
I think May 17th or something.
Yeah, right around there. Yeah. So, anyways,
It is May 13th to 17th, so it'll be sooner. Mid-May.
Coming up.
I mean, the thing about the IRF course is people fail the throw bag competition all the time. Like it's probably the hardest part about the IRF course. The standard is really high. And so,
and I will say it is hard. I failed the first time. It took me, I think, the second or third time I think I passed it. But it is hard. It is hard, especially if you haven't practiced it.
But I've seen people fail it 10, 15. I saw somebody fail it 30 times before. That's 30 to 60 people you have to put in the water for the test. It's frustrating for the rest of this class. And so I'm trying to encourage practice ahead of time so people can practice before they get there, or at least have a way they can come back to the house and practice instead of like practicing by putting 2 swimmers, because every test takes 2 swimmers in the water. That's 2 people to volunteer for you to keep trying to pass the test.
Hey, did you guys, when you're in your thing, did you guys practice throwing coils too? Did you guys compete with coils or just with the packed bag?
The throwdown?
Yeah.
Just packed bags.
I've been practicing coils a lot, so you can add that to the thing. I mean, that's fine.
Good.
Yeah.
I think it's an important skill to work on.
Yeah, when we teaching classes, we've been doing a lot of coil practice.
So I feel like, man, there's so many times when you have a rope, something happens and your rope's already out and it's not ready to go, packed.
Yeah,
so, and it's easier to practice. It's easier to practice with the coils because you just recoil and throw. So you can actually get a lot more practice with it. And I think if you get good with the coils, it's a lot easier to come back to throw the bag after you get good with the coils because the coils is more challenging.
They're different, but yeah, you're throwing the thing that way. You're taking the thing and making it go that way, so it definitely helps.
Yeah.
All right, team. Well, man, we answered some questions and we argued about throw bags again. I think we need to stop this throw bag discussion because we've beat this one to death. This could have ended an hour ago.
Well, from now on, whenever we talk about, we'll have to remind you how Steve beat you in the competition, 7-5.
Remind me?
Yeah, they'll just have to come up. Maybe that'll get us to not. Maybe it'll go the way of win footage.
Steve beat me. The NRS throwbag did not beat me.
That's what Zach wants. That's the point Zach wants to make.
I did not get beat by the NRS throwbag.
Yeah, but Steve didn't even try to. And as we discussed, there's some limitations to you made it such that a small bag that's shaped like a hot dog is going to work better to get through a small little hole.
I didn't make it that way. I said, hey, let's come up with a target and come up with a course. I didn't realize I was what's that word when you I wasn't really biased.
You're biased.
Small bags.
I think that the way when you guys get together, the way to test for whether the bag is better is to have each of you throw the 4 different bags and see which one you're like, to see what the results are better and consider you guys.
That's a very good point, Steve. That is a very good point.
You guys,
even though Zach will sandbag, the NRS one will go like a foot in front of him. He'll be like, "Oh, it doesn't work."
I know. Zach would do that too.
We really need some people who know nothing about our conversation and bring them in and just say, "Hey, throw these different bags." We need people who have no knowledge.
I want to be clear.
Basically, what we can do is we can
this bag.
Here's what we need. We need to find a baseball team.
No.
And we go find a baseball team that knows nothing about rafting and be like, okay, here's your goal. Do this, use these different bags. Which do you like the best?
You should. Hey, if this bag is proven to be better, I'll use it. I'll be like, yeah, you're right. This is a great bag. I'm not stuck in my ways. I'm just telling you from like my experience over throwing throw bags in all my classes, nobody picks this one on purpose.
Well, I'm going to say this.
It's not that great of a bag.
I think
you're biased.
On a rock, I'm gonna be much more excited if you show up with that bag than almost any other bag. When I see that you holding that one on shore, I'll be like, oh yeah, we're good.
No. When I'm on shore, you're not gonna wish I had this bag. When I get the bag to you, you'll be happy you have it. But there's no guarantee I'll get this bag to you because it's so unthrowable.
It might take you an extra throw, but then we're good.
Yeah, maybe. Depends how far away you are. Like this bag doesn't. I don't think most people can throw this bag more than 50 feet.
Most people can't throw any bag more than 50 feet, Zach.
This one they can. I'm just saying, hey, Aaron, this is not a great bag. And so we'll find out. And if I'm wrong, I'll be like, yeah, this is a great bag. I don't have a bias either way. Like I
just said it's not a great bag.
No, from my experience.
And then you said you don't have a bias.
From my experience, it's not a great bag.
A little contradictory.
I'm not stuck in my opinion. This is my opinion based on the data I have in front of me. If it's proven me better, I'll be like, yeah, maybe.
You just said that's the best rope. You just said that's the best rope.
I said it's really good rope.
It's the best rope. You said it is the best rope. Your quote was it's the best rope.
The best rope depends on the situation. The best rope for getting a raft off is a static line. Like a real static line, not this.
It's the best rope that's in a throw bag.
Yes, it's the best rope that's in a throw bag. It's not the best rope. And if I'm pulling a boat up Blossom, I don't want this rope. This rope is not adequate for that. A gear boat at Blossom, this rope is not adequate.
Agreed.
For a gear boat, this is not adequate.
Agreed.
Maybe a light gear boat. So like this is get a paddle boat off of a rock.
But even a light gear boat, it's not long enough, really.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think if you pull from the right place in general, you don't need that much force. If you use your brain instead of your brawn.
Everybody out there is not Aaron Cavagnolo with all the brains, all the experience. Like you're just like, I think what you're doing is saying, hey, because I'm so talented, I can use inferior equipment. I'm so
not
talented,
at all.
I can use this ancient bag.
I'm saying if you're needing to put that much force on it, maybe you need to start pulling from a different angle or try something a little different.
Or deflate more tubes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't even need this rope because you're just going to deflate tubes anyway.
Well, in general, yeah. Every once in a while, it needs a little help, a little.
Well,
nudge.
This is a little help.
That's true.
So I get that this has some mechanical advantage power. It's medium mechanical advantage power, but let's just try not to use mechanical advantage. And if we have to, let's pull out the hull line.
To answer Heidi's question that's on there right now.
Yeah.
Our bags were not wet. Our throw ropes were not wet. We had an option of getting them wet, and we didn't do that. They got a little bit wet because the grass was wet and it was raining, but it wasn't a heavy, wet.
And that's
rope.
a good point.
I don't know that would make how much of a difference that would make. It would certainly start to make a difference at the longer throws. Like a heavy bag from 60 feet is a lot harder than a dry one. But ours were dry.
Okay, I'm going to close this up, and Eric can do the close down. I'm going to close this topic up, then you can do the close down. Just my take is I think, Steve, you opened it up correctly. Everybody needs the bag that matches them. There's not a one bag for everybody. And so you want to choose the right bag for your own throwing ability, your own strength, and for the type of boating you're doing. I think it's
maybe we can go around and each share one salient takeaway like you just did.
Okay. So that's my takeaway. It's one. You want a bag that matches you, and then no one bag is the best bag for everybody.
And mine would be to learn to throw overhand. Aaron
has such a smirk on his face.
You didn't learn anything?
He doesn't. No, he's stuck in his ways.
No,
I mean, the best bag for everybody all the time.
Didn't say. I think, Zach, you're just too hard on that bag, and I think that bag it's very utilitarian. It's good for a lot of things, and that's why I like it. And I think, how often are we rescuing people with a throw bag, throwing it to them, and I'm just not a big fan of that use for it. So, yeah. Anyways,
Aaron didn't learn anything.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't learn anything from this.
I think Aaron is very stuck in his ways and argumentative. That's what I'm learning about. I think it's just on the show though. When we're on the phone later, he's very, like normal, but he gets very argumentative on the show.
Well, I think the NRS bag gets thrown under the bus way too often. and it's a great bag. The NRS bags, I think, are great bags. I enjoy using them, and I haven't used all the other ones, that's for sure, and I'll try them out. And I think I can see the Coconut one being good to throw, but I don't know. I like having I don't usually bring a long line on trips. I usually just bring in that throw bag, and that's my bag for everything, and it's going to work pretty well for everything.
Yeah, I think we're going to enter a sponsorship. We'll get you that sponsorship, Aaron. Don't worry, it's coming.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of noise in the background. I noticed here, so maybe Steve, do you want to close it down today? But because I can close it down, but there's going to be.
It's
no,
way
I like
more
the noise. That adds credibility when there's a 8-month-old adding to your close down.
He's just upset because Zach won't recognize the utilitarian value of the NRS throw bag and line. So it's getting him all worked up here. See that? That's right there. That's it. Yeah. See,
okay.
yeah.
I will admit, I bring this bag sometimes on trips.
I mean, if you're going to bring one throw bag and only bring one throw bag and one bag and no long line, what are you going to choose?
This one I have brought in that case before.
And as a cheap guy who has minimal gear, that's why I like it. So I think if I had a lot of them, yeah, I wouldn't use that one for a lot of stuff. But anyways, hey, how many subscribers are you up to?
Dude,
Have you
we
hit the 10,000
just
mark?
passed 9,900.
Whoa!
Wow.
And because it's boating season, our numbers are going up big time right now. So
We're getting a lot more additions and subtractions.
we'll have 10,000 by. We're gonna have a Friday show this week because I'm here, and we'll have a Friday show next week. We'll hit 10,000 by the second Friday show from this Friday.
Wow, that's some confidence there.
Yeah.
So you guys who tuned
Not
in,
if we
thanks
talk
for all
about
your
throwbacks
comments.
again.
And oh, sorry, Steve, go ahead. What was it?
We're not going to get to 10,000 if we keep talking about throw bags.
Yeah, definitely not. Make sure you like, subscribe, rate, and review, do all those great things so Zach can get to 10,000 subscribers and feel really good about it.
We can get to 10,000.
It's Gear Garage. That's you. But,
It's a team thing. It's a team thing. It's all.
I feel more of a connection to the people who are members because I feel like the members is more about the show. And so I'm like, how many members are there? That's more what I'm interested in because that says something about the content we're providing, much more so I feel like than subscribers. So anyways, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. Friday, what are we talking about on Friday, Zach?
We're talking about tracking, which we had to. That's your homework. Come up with some information on tracking, and we need to talk about high water. I think there's so much high water coming. We should have some more high water discussions.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good. That'd be helpful. High Water Friday.
High water Friday.
Sounds good. And of course, we'll have to sell some NRS stuff. Pay for this kid's college.
Oh, hey, you know, I saw something really cool on the NRS website the other day.